Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I'm excited to say that we have finally gotten access to the new DLC with Rainbow Six Siege. It of course comes with the 2 new operators, the new map, and surprisingly, a fairly sizable patch as well. And so what I wanted to do today is talk about the 2 new operators, kind of give my thoughts on what's happening with this DLC, but also explain what has changed with this update. And so the first operator that we have to look at is Frost. I have quickly fallen in love with this class because she's basically the complete package. Her weapons are amazing and her gadget is fantastic. If you're not aware, her gadget is called the Welcome Mat, which is literally a bear trap, and you can place it down anywhere. You can place it down below a windowsill, in between a doorway, in the middle of the room, if you fancy so. And what it does is that any enemy that walks over it, even if they're 2 health or 100% health, if they step on this bear trap, it will put them into the down and not out states. Of course, a allied teammate can go over and revive them, but it also leaves them incredibly vulnerable. The downside of it is that you can take it out with normal bullets. If you are playing on the offensive team and you see this thing in the middle of the room, put a couple of bullets into it and you are going to be able to take it out. Now, some of you might be thinking, this doesn't sound all that impressive. Yes, being able to put your enemy in the down and out stage sounds strong, but who in their right mind is going to be this oblivious to step into a trap that is pretty obvious in the middle of a walkway? Like, who in their right mind would fall for something like that? You would be surprised. A lot of people, when they're breaching into a room, aren't staring at the ground, and for good reason, because they're scanning for enemies at head level. And so if you place this near an objective, as soon as they start to breach on in, every once in a while, you'll get a cheeky down and out on the enemy. Not only that, but you can also place this in some really sneaky spots. Putting this behind a deployable shield that's blocking a doorway pretty much blocks off that access route unless the enemy wants to use a grenade to blow up the deployable shield. There's no real easy way for them to take out the trap that's behind it. Even if they try to peer on over, they can't actually see it. They have to vault on over, and usually at that state, they're not expecting it and they're going to drop. You can also put this underneath a windowsill, which denies access to that entry routes. When they lean on over from the outside in, trying to identify if there is a trap there, not only is it nearly impossible to even see the trap sometimes, but it also leaves them exposed for an easy headshot. And so just in general, her gadget is amazing. In the future, when people learn how to work around her and not fall for her trap as easily, she won't be able to down out the enemy as often, but even then, I think she's going to be one of the better operators in the game because of her way to deny access and zone out the enemy from certain flanking routes. If you want to manipulate the battlefield in your favor, you can do so with Frost with this bear trap. If you want to make sure that the enemy isn't able to breach through certain windows, you can do that, and that makes it much easier for you to defend certain objectives. And so overall, while it may be too early to tell if her gadget is going to elevate her to being one of the best operators in the game, right now she has a lot of promise. On the other side of the coin, though, we have Buck. I'm not really impressed by this guy. He does have a lot of firepower, I will give him that. He has an assault rifle that hits really hard. It does have a lot of recoil, but with its high RPM, if you're able to reel it in, you can dish out and deal a lot of damage to the enemy. And alongside that, if you get into a tight spot where someone closes the gap on you, you can switch it over to his gadget, which is an underbarrel shotgun. The thing is, though, is that the shotgun isn't really better than all the other shotguns in the game, and in some cases, I would actually say that it's worse. There's just really no reason to use this guy compared to the other operators in the game. Like, I would say that all the other operators bring more to the table compared to Buck. The only real advantage that he has is that he can open up murder holes for his assault rifle. If you know someone's in the room, and I will give him this, I've had some really fun kills where I realized there was an enemy behind a wall. I used the shotgun to open it up, and I surprised the enemy, and I was able to take him out with the assault rifle. That was very cool. But you can do this with a lot of other operators. Sledge, for example, opens up the wall entirely and allows you to enter the room, which you just can't do with Buck whatsoever. Really, the only advantage of him is that it is a smaller murder hole compared to a gigantic hole that's been breached by Sledge or with a breaching charge. And so if you want to be a little bit more inconspicuous about it, or let's say you planted the objective and the enemy is trying to come to you, you can open up a hole that will hopefully allow you and your team to take them out with your assault rifle. So I guess that is one nice quality of them, but it's really not all that impressive. And so just in general, I've been pretty disappointed by Buck. I will give it more time, I will spend more hours, and so maybe in the future I'll realize that he has some meta that I just don't understand, and he's absolutely amazing, but at least right now, he's been one of the bigger disappointments with this DLC. As for the new map that they added on in, it is, simply put, gigantic. When I first learned that they were going to be bringing a yacht map into Rainbow Six Siege, I got really excited because I thought that it was going to be on the smaller end of the spectrum. I adore House, mainly because it's well designed, but also because it's a smaller map, and I like small maps in Rainbow Six Siege, and so I was really crossing my fingers that we were going to be getting a House 2.0 with yachts. That is not the case whatsoever. It's got 4 stories on it. The inside is practically a maze with ladders and staircases and small little rooms that the enemy can hide in. It's gonna take a couple of weeks to get a good grasp if this map is any good. I wish I could give you more of a first impression, but because of its size, there's no way to tell. I like that they're adding in a yacht. I've always wanted a yacht in Rainbow Six Siege. I thought it would be great, and while I'm enjoying it so far, I really can't give you any more information because of its size. And then lastly, this DLC has also come with a pretty sizable patch. One of the things that I'm enjoying the most is the upgrade to the suppressor. The suppressor before this update only had the benefit of reducing the sound of your weapon. It didn't make it non-existent, but if you wanted to be silent and you wanted to roam around, it was at least a decent attachment for some weapons. Now what they've done though is that it also reduces the visibility of your vapor trail. This is going to make it much more appealing for some players. It doesn't make it non-existent, it's still there, but if you're flanking around and you always had the problem where people would realize that you got that flank off, not because they heard you, but because of the vapor trail, this will hopefully assist you in those situations. Another thing I really appreciate is they've made some changes to ranked. One of the reasons why I didn't play ranked all that often in the past was because everyone on defense would choose one spot because it was the most defensible. Usually it was in the basement, and so every single round on ranked, you would play in the basement, and it kind of got stale. And so one way that they've remedied this to cause and give us more variety is that if you're on defense and you win on a certain spot, it is locked out for the rest of the round, and you have to pick another spot. I know that some people might be a little disappointed by this because they are taking some control away from players who are playing in ranked, but at least for me, I think this is a huge step in the right direction because it adds in more variety. Another nice thing that they've done is that there is now a UI indicator on what map you're playing on when you are selecting your operators. I'm sure you've had this where you enter a match, you're alt-tabbed, or you're just kind of talking with your friends not paying attention, and when you get into the class selection screen, you don't know what game mode or what map you're playing on. And so thankfully, they've now finally updated the UI to give us that information. And so if you're someone who loves to play Fuse, but you realize that he's not the best when you're playing on Hostage, you can rejoice because this information is finally available. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't mention everything that was in the patch notes. Apparently, they changed about 500 different things in the game, and so if you'd like to read all of them, I will leave that down below in the description. Let me know your impressions with this DLC. Do you love Frost? Are you also a little disappointed by Buck? Do you enjoy the new map? Let me know down below. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.